All right, we will now move to the speeches by the nominated candidates. And these speeches will be up to 15 minutes long, although I suspect if they want to get your vote, they won't speak to close to 15 minutes. We will proceed in the order determined by the draw, so the first candidate will be Jim Lyons.
First of all, thank you very much, and I would also like to echo my thanks to Kirsten for the wonderful job that you've done for the last 6 years of putting in place an infrastructure that is going to allow the next chairperson to really take this party to the next level. And following up on what Keiko had to say, the word that I have for the year, Keiko, is unity. Ronald Reagan was a unifier when he became president of the United States. Everyone remembers the Reagan-Tip O'Neill nights after they fought up on Capitol Hill. What did they do? They went out and they had dinner and they got along with one another. We have to look to Ronald Reagan to really understand what we need to do going forward. You see, Ronald Reagan believed in individual freedom. Ronald Reagan believed in personal responsibility. Ronald Reagan did not believe that the solution was government. Close your eyes and think about the folks now and what their messaging is to our young people, to look to government. I totally reject that this future of our country should be based on what government tells us to do. But in Massachusetts, we are behind. And our job is to build this party and to elect new people. Having served in the legislature, I understand the importance of that. Charlie Baker did not have the ability to have his veto sustained in the legislature, and we have to get those numbers up. But I want you to understand tonight that there are no easy fixes. And if there are any, I'm not aware of them. But I am standing here tonight to tell you that the challenges that our Republican Party faces in this Commonwealth cannot be resolved quickly or easily. It will take hard work and more hard work. No shortcuts here, and there'll be no shortcuts from me. When I was 21 years old, I began my business at Brandeis University as a senior in college. I opened 25 street corners, selling flowers for $1. 43 years later, I'm still in the same business that I started 43 years ago. And that business has taught me that nothing comes easy. Nothing. You have to make a commitment to something, and you have to follow through on it. And I promise you, I am making a commitment to build this party up, and I will follow through on it. In all great building and rebuilding projects, we must begin with the foundation. And the foundation of the Republican Party in Massachusetts is the grassroots. This means that we must actively support and encourage our local communities. Those local communities must be empowered, and they must be given the green light to start proactively to revitalize our state GOP. This reflects the broader principle of the Republican Party, the principle of local control and decentralization. Just as these ideas work better for government, they also will work better for the Mass GOP. In a like manner, the state committee must be committed to openness and transparency. These are the sacred Republican principles in government, and it's time to make those principles ironclad realities in our state Mass GOP. As you know, I just completed 4 years as a state representative. I was involuntarily retired. And no one ever questioned my support from the grassroots, and no one ever doubted my advocacy of the Republican ideas, from openness and transparency to local aid and local control, from tax relief to deregulation, from advancing small businesses to promoting job growth. And while fighting for smaller and more efficient and more effective government, I have also taken notice of areas where support of strong action is needed. No one was a stronger supporter of law enforcement and police and fire responders. I get that from the fact that my father served as a police officer for 35 years. And I also work closely with Charlie Baker and the Baker administration on improving our response to the tragic opiate epidemic, which hurts so many families from across our Commonwealth. When it is necessary to step up, we Republicans have not backed away from finding funding and prioritizing such important needs. As your chair, I will step up and prioritize fundraising for our state GOP and for our state candidates, especially for candidates at the local level. As I said, we have a lot of catching up to do to make Massachusetts a two-party state. At the same time, no one has been more willing to take on the power brokers and the insiders on Beacon Hill than me. And I want you to know, no one had more fun doing it. Whether it was forcing Deval Patrick to tell us that there were hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on illegal immigrants at the same time we were cutting local aid and reducing mass health benefits, we shut down the House of Representatives and demanded that he did it, and they finally did it. I filed an amendment to take the money that was being spent on illegal immigration to reduce the property taxes. I went down, I made an impassioned speech on the floor of the House asking for this $250 million to be shifted from illegal immigration to our property tax owners. After I got finished, I walked back up to my seat, and the whole board was green. I looked around to my Republican colleagues, and I said, they must have understood what I was doing. and I was right. Because as soon as Speaker DeLeo recognized what I was doing, he flipped his light to red, and the whole board went red all at once. That's the type of top-down leadership there is on Beacon Hill. DeLeo and the top power brokers control every aspect of it. And who does that hurt? Who does that hurt? It hurts us. And it is time that we let the Democrats know what we stand for matters, and my job and my goal as your party chair is to take them on, not just on Beacon Hill, but all across this great state. And let me tell you, no one will have more fun doing it. As you may be aware, a whole lot of Democrats took note of my outspokenness. Not just insiders on Beacon Hill, but liberal power brokers from across the country. Bernadette and I were really astounded when President Obama endorsed our opponent. Not only did President Obama, but Hillary Clinton endorsed our opponent. I didn't back down from them, and I promise you, I won't back down from them in the future. As your state chair, I will bring the same spirit, the same willingness to speak up for the Republican Party and our Republican principles. I pledge to bring a new and fresh sense of unity to our Republican Party. It's probably the best kept secret on Beacon Hill, but I cast more roll call votes for Governor Charlie Baker and the Baker administration than any other legislator. This may come as a surprise to some, but really it shouldn't, because there are so many more things as Republicans that unite us than divide us. And yes, we must acknowledge that our state and region has a different blend of Republican ideas than some other parts of our great nation, that none of us can stand alone. So let us cheer on the outstanding progress of President Donald Trump. He has achieved in promoting deregulation, cutting taxes, growing jobs in the economy, appointing judges who will interpret the Constitution rather than legislate from the bench. We don't have to agree with everything any Republican or Republican governor says or does. We do have to say clearly that the state and the nation are better off because of the common sense policies of our Republican chief executives. It would be wise for all of us to take to heart the advice of President Ronald Reagan. From the time he was governor of California, he always asked that we focus on the 80% rule. 80% of the issues and principles that we agree upon. And these are the issues and principles that bind us together as a party. Let's take Ronald Reagan's 80% rule and let's create our own 100% rule here in Massachusetts. When it comes to the GOP in this Commonwealth, let us go out and roll up our sleeves and get started with these 100% commitments. We are going to be 100% dedicated to rebuilding and revitalizing the Republican Party in Massachusetts. We are going to be 100% dedicated to recruiting strong local candidates and do the fundraising that's necessary to help them in our party. We are going to be 100% dedicated to unifying around those things we agree upon and 100% dedicated to respecting each other, even in those cases where we cannot find total agreement. Charlie Baker and I have figured it out. We come from different sides of some of the political spectrum. If Charlie Baker and I can sit down and put the best interest of our party and our state forward, then we have to know as a GOP state committee, we have to unite and remember one thing. It's the Democrats that we want to be. It's the Democrats. We're going to be 100% dedicated to supporting and continuing the outstanding reform efforts of the Baker administration to make state bureaucracies more responsive and to better serve the citizens of our Commonwealth. And we are going to be 100% committed to build this party, to elect more people, and we are going to make the Massachusetts GOP great again. Thank you very much.
All right, and now call forward Brent Anderson. Brent?